It's nice to sometimes be reminded that I'm an individual by finding myself in disagreement with the internet hive mind. I did so recently when I stumbled upon Bryan Johnson. He is someone whose goal is don't die. Because it's much easier to understand the concept of trying not to die than it is comprehending all the complex intricacies involved with living longer and healthier. I found him through a meme of some sort containing a picture of him looking like a robot, and the comment section was full of smug-sounding criticism, ranging from how he's failing at his goal to look young, to sinister rumours that he was selfishly using his child's blood to try and live longer. Having never heard about him before, I was fascinated to learn more, but quickly saw how twisted and out of context the criticism was, and I soon decided that he was awesome. So if you want criticism of this guy, then just look anywhere else and you'll find it. Every newspaper publication about him wants him to fail, or states that in his bid for immortality he's forgotten how to live. But I'm just pleased he exists and seems so driven with his singular goal not to die. Whatever happens, it's going to be exciting to watch, and I'm just pleased he's making these sacrifices so that I don't have to. Soon after I discovered him, I mentioned him in passing to somebody I know, and was surprised when they too immediately went on the attack, stating how selfish he was for not giving his fortune to charity instead or whatever. Wow. The knee-jerk reaction to hearing about this person is to really hate on him, and it doesn't seem fair. We're happy to turn a blind eye to bad behaviour or just to shake our head at genuinely nasty or selfish people, but then to spout so much venom at a guy like Bryan for just getting on and trying to live his best life? It doesn't seem fair. Maybe he's just an easy target. Is it jealousy? Resentment? Hatred that any success he has is in some way an FU to the rest of us? Maybe it's the fact he seems so happy with his restrictive lifestyle when clearly he shouldn't be. He should be suffering. How dare he be happy? Maybe it's the fact he's a rich person who's using his money to try and make himself last longer. Or maybe people just think he's some kind of snake oil salesman. I think the difference between him and a typical live healthier con man is, well, he's made his fortune already. He doesn't seem to be doing this for money. Fame? Perhaps. He's certainly getting a lot of publicity. But with him there seems to be a genuine drive to experiment, to learn and to share his findings with humanity for the greater good. And he's driven by science instead of the usual crystals and pseudoscience. He's there trying things out, testing the results on himself in often invasive, time-consuming and painful ways, and then is freely and publicly announcing what works and what doesn't. Again, this is something he drew criticism for recently when he stopped doing one of his tests that he said wasn't working. And loads of articles immediately took delight in announcing the man who wants to live forever was accidentally doing something that was killing him. Like, Jesus Christ guys, cut him some slack. You can't use his own discoveries against him, it's all part of the learning process, especially when you're pioneering something new and experimental. This sort of stuff makes him out as being a failure when he probably sees the exact same thing as being a success. At the very least, mock him for something ridiculous like his obsession with the duration and hardness of his nighttime erections. That's literally low-hanging fruit right there. But then he openly ridicules his own lifestyle, aware of how extreme it is. But then why should he care when he has a goal that he's aiming for? I don't want to mock him. In a world with so many rich people all doing the same stuff with their money, I'm pleased he's out there doing something very different with it. Sure, he could give it all away to charity, just like any rich person could, but I think his choice to become a lifelong lab rat is of far more value to humanity. He's literally trying not to die and to discover what could help us to live longer and healthier. He isn't saying he's going to live forever, he's just going to try not to die, and his lifestyle reflects that. Well done. He's doing what we've all considered doing ourselves, only to immediately be all like, nah, can't be bothered. So as one of the few people in the world with the required motivation, the financial means and hired expertise to live this way, it's great he's actually going for it, and I respect him so much for the sheer determination and willpower it must take to live in such a controlled way, and I wish him all the best in pursuing it to whatever end. I've seen people mocking him saying he'll probably die in a car crash, and I think that's how he'll probably want to go. Because for somebody trying to live forever, I think a freak accident is better than dying of old age at 83 and knowing he'll unjustly be used as proof that a healthy lifestyle is meaningless when there's somebody else who smoked a pack of cigarettes a day who lived to 95 and was probably all the happier for it. So thankfully, despite the ridicule he gets, he seems very upbeat and positive about what he's doing. Perhaps too much so? It's simply unrelatable to see somebody managing perfection seemingly so effortlessly and apparently enjoying it so much. It doesn't motivate us to see him raving about his plate of broccoli drizzled with olive oil, or how exciting it is to have a perfect sleep score 200 nights in a row, or how he got the stiffest boner of his life this morning and how it lasted for so long. It would be much more relatable if he occasionally confessed to having to resist the urge to stay up late or to eat a pack of jelly babies. But fair enough, maybe he doesn't feel that way. But I imagine he must have regrets, namely for not starting the experiment sooner. It must weigh on his mind to look at all that wasted time and aging damage he's already done to his body, especially now he must obsess about every imperfection ever so much. And for all the incredible things he's done to slow certain parts of aging and to reverse others, there must be some things he can't do anything about that must really nag on him. What about grey hair? He's discussed the various things he does to his hair to keep it healthy, but he has revealed he uses dye of some sort, but also points out that the dye he uses seems to be coming from beneath the skin level, as though that's some sort of de-aging method. He's a bit vague on that. Also, for somebody so keen on perfection, I'm almost disappointed that his dental routine isn't that much more extreme than mine is. But maybe it doesn't have to be when his diet looks like something straight from a British hedgerow. He's gone to great lengths to discuss Project Babyface, acknowledging he was healthy but didn't look it, so has also investigated ways he can look healthier and younger in perhaps more superficial ways. What about his hands? Hands always show your age. I want to know what he'll do about that, and also prostate cancer. But he is just one person. I think it'll get to the point where he'll go as far as he can with his experiments and will begin wishing he had an identical twin to aid in some sort of A-B experiment to see which options are best. Hell, maybe a triplet just to live an unhealthy lifestyle so he can see over time how much of an impact his healthy lifestyle has had. I think maybe his striving for perfection has made him an easy target for criticism. Almost like, who does he think he is for trying to be better than the rest of us in some way? Let's be crabs in a bucket and hope he fails. He seems so genuine in his attempt to live vice-free, and rather than seeing that as being selfish, I think he's being very selfless, paying the ultimate sacrifice by doing this. I don't doubt he's as happy as he claims to be. It must be thrilling to be a pioneer in his field, one where success potentially means transcending the mortal limits that the billions who came before him seemed governed by. But he's having to make a lot of sacrifices. Imagine saying goodbye to all your bad habits, instant gratifications and flexibility that's born from an imperfect lifestyle. Not just for a month either, not for a year, but for the rest of your existence. I wouldn't want to do what he's doing. I don't think I could. I look at those experiments he's doing on himself and then remember how much of a song and dance I made about a single finger prick. So yeah, no thanks. His life comprises of perfect routine, daily blood tests, a rigorous schedule and routine, and all I can say is, I'm pleased he's doing this to himself so I can simply watch the experiment unfold from the sidelines. Because his goal of living a perfectly healthy life is matched only by his unbounded enthusiasm for doing so, having embarked on this following a decade of depression. I wish I believed that good habits are contagious, and if you reach past a tipping point of some sort, then it just gets easier and easier to keep going more and more. But I'm not so sure about that, because I've come the other way, starting with perfect routine and endless motivation, and then over time have succumbed to bad habits and compromises. Don't get me wrong, I've learned lots of valuable things from doing this, namely in having more appreciation for the long hard slog than I do in sharp bursts of motivation and enthusiasm. Because it's incredibly rewarding and very easy to take credit for doing something that's new and exciting, but you don't know how much of that is your own doing and how much of that is just it being new and exciting to you. And it's only when something becomes old and stale that you really discover your relationship with it and who you actually are. This applies to all sorts in life: exercise, living, hobbies, even YouTubing. So I'm curious to see where Bryan's journey takes him in 5, 10 and 20 years time, both physically and mentally, as all that will be telling. And also where I'll be in 5, 10 and 20 years time, that will also be telling. But for now, I see him as an excellent role model, even if he knows it isn't feasible nor realistic to expect the rest of us to live the way he is. But he's not asking people to. He's mentioned previously that we can get 80% of the benefit from just 20% of the effort that he's putting into it, simply by following a few diet and lifestyle changes. So is that what I'm doing? No, I'm not even ready to do that. All he's inspired me to do for now are tiny changes to my life, here and there. A tongue scraper here, a bit more bedtime discipline there, about 1% of the work that he's doing for about 5% of the benefit. And here is where his attitude is infectious. Because while the rest of the world wants to paint him as a failure, I reckon he'd see even these small changes to my life as being a resounding success.